Okay, it's 2 o'clock, and our next committee of the day is the Public Service Committee. Those committee members are Mosley, Kamer, Holland, Lombardo, and McKittrick. We do have all members present whenever you're ready, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Sarah. If I could get approval of our previous meeting minutes.
Motion. To approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
We have 3 pieces coming before us today. The first piece is an ordinance authorizing the service director and or purchasing agent to enter into a contract or contracts after publicly advertising for bids for the construction of the Akron Fulton Airport taxiway lighting and signage phase 2 and declaring an emergency. Who's here to speak to this, Mr. Leto?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman, members of committee. Some of you may recall we've done work at the airport in the last few years, and last year we did the 725, the main runway, with the resurfacing and the lights. Well, we applied for another grant through the FAA to do the taxiway. So the taxiway is parallel with the main runway, the same length, but it's just north of the, so it's between the main runway and Triplet Boulevard. So this application, this grant that we received, is for adding taxiway lights through the perimeter of the whole taxiway. It's a 90% funded by FAA, 5% by ODOT, and then 5% by the City of Akron. So obviously it's not free money, but for a little over $1 million job, we have to pay about $58,000 of this project. So they will be LED, all new posts. They typically are off the runway about 2 feet, and they stick up about, between 24 and 30 inches. Obviously, they have to be above the snow line, and as we learned this year, sometimes 14 or 15 inches of snow, lights have to be above that. So they are all spec'd, and they're the same as the ones we put in last year. With that, I will take any questions.
Okay. Any questions from committee members? Any questions from council members?
Madam Chair, I can see that Councilman Malik has his hand raised.
Okay, Councilman Malik.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Little, I think this is a great project. I know it's almost entirely funded by the FAA, so I'm glad about that. Since you brought up the snow, just a curious question. Do we plow the airport, or who plows the airport?
No, they do it. They have their own staff that maintains it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
What's your pleasure, Mr. Leto?
Consent's fine.
Okay, can I get a motion for consent?
Motion for consent.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, ayes have it. Second piece, ordinance authorizing the purchasing agent or their designee after publicly advertising for bids to enter into a contract or contracts for the construction of a splash pad at Firestone Park and declaring an emergency. Mr. Leto?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of committee. This is our third splash pad that obviously we did the one at Joy Park, and then we did at Patterson. So this will be the third one that we've installed. So engineering looked at the park, worked with the councilman. They've had a meeting or two with the councilman out there, Mr. Kamer. It's going to go on the south side of the main building in the grass. We are going to shape the splash pad as best we can, or the designer, to the shield of the Firestone shield. So the concrete will be that type of shape. The fixtures and not so much the fixtures, but all the equipment is the same as we put in at Joy Park and Patterson. So the maintenance, hopefully we keep things universal. The pumps, the controllers, the timers, all those fixtures. One thing, I will obviously take any questions, Madam Chair, but there is some lead time on the equipment, so I would ask for suspension of the rules on this one with the favorable report, as long as everybody's questions are answered. And at this time, I will take any questions.
Okay, yeah, you just answered my question. I was wondering what the pleasure would be for this and if they would have it done in time for the summer. So any questions from committee members? Councilman Cameron?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to thank Mr. Ludlow and all the city staff that was involved in the conversations that we've had. Great discussions, and I'm really excited that a splash pad will be installed in the community. And I really like how it's going to incorporate the Firestone Shield. It really brings the history to current day. I also would ask if my name could be added, so I appreciate that. That's it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Councilwoman Amobian?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just curious, you said this is the third one we've done?
Yeah, yes, that's
Yes.
correct.
Are they highly utilized, and have we had any problems with any kind of injuries or anything?
Not that I know of. I mean, obviously, they're all ADA, there's no steps, they're all ground level, and especially with the summers we've had, Joy Park opened by the time we got it open, but it was open late in the year. But Patterson and Joy Park, with how hot it was, they get used a lot. We do shut them down at night, so they're not open all night long. They're on timers, so the water won't run in the middle of the night. But it seems like both parks, the kids utilize these. And I don't know if all the kids walk to the parks. I think some parents probably drive over and use it, but I think a lot of the neighborhood kids in both parks. And I could tell Patterson that I've stopped there, and the local children are always, especially the immigrant kids, they really love the splash pad at Patterson.
What about you, Councilwoman Mosley? What about your ward? You know how?
Yeah, it's heavily utilized. With COVID sort of had the little offset because you could only have so many kids in the water in close proximity at a certain amount of time because of COVID. We had some issues with the little thing that the kids press on to make the water turn on, but Mr. Ludlow was always very attentive to that. If I had to text him in the middle of the afternoon, he always made sure he got someone out there to fix it so the kids could use it. I'm excited that this is going over into Firestone Park because there's a lot of kids from Southside that will come over to Joy Park. Mm-hmm. So knowing that they will have one even closer to them, that's a great thing. And the kids are going to use it. They love it. And not all of our kids can swim, so this is a good way for them to cool down in the summer. So I'm excited that they're putting one over there. It's long overdue. Ms. Holland, Councilman Holland, sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. This is such great, good, clean, accessible fun, and I am so excited for this. I know that there are many families all over the city looking forward to this installation, and I just love the incorporation of some Akron history in the design. What a wonderful project, and I just can't wait to join in the fun, and I would invite my fellow members of council to join me on some hot day in July. Let's go check it out. Thank you.
Any other questions from any other council members? Is there anyone in chambers there? Because I can't tell if someone over there is raising their hand or not.
No one here in chambers, Madam Chair.
Okay. If I could get a motion for suspension of the rules?
I'll make that motion, suspension of the rules with a favorable report.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. And our last piece is ordinance amending and/or supplementing Title IX, Chapter 94, Health, Safety, and Sanitation, Article 2, Nuisances, Section 94.29, Noxious Weeds of the Akron Codified Ordinances in order to support the habitats of pollinating insects and declaring an emergency. Mr. Ludlow.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of committee. We've worked on this for it's been not quite a while, but I have to give Councilwoman Holland and Councilman Fusco. They really drove this, and it's looking at all our ordinances. This is just another one about updating our codified ordinances. And what this is going to do is align us with the noxious weeds that is listed and maintained by the Ohio Department of Natural Resources in the revised code. So as the Department of Natural Resources updates their list, then ours will update automatically. Now, poison ivy, poison oak, obviously they're still going to be a noxious weed, and this is private property. We still, the city of Akron will still have the authority on lawn strips or in parks or our properties we own, but this is a private property issue. And I would defer to Councilwoman Holland. She could talk about the milkweed and the monarch butterfly and how Ohio is, they say it's kind of a raceway from Canada through Ohio all the way down to Mexico. And I will take any questions, but I think she could probably add to this, Councilman Chairman.
Okay. Councilwoman Holland, would you like to add to that?
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Luddle. This has been a labor of love, and I am so happy to be here and to see this happen today on our first full day of spring after what feels like the longest winter in history. This is a kind of a two-feature piece of legislation. This does indeed bring our code into a modern and harmonic state with current practices and current law around the state. But perhaps most crucially, what this is an ordinance that will put us on the map where we belong and in harmony with all other cities on the migratory path of the eastern population of the monarch butterfly. Now, it's not just about the monarch butterfly. Many of the plants that were on our earlier version of the noxious weeds ordinance actually represent native plants that are chief among the food and habitat of a number of pollinators, including bees. We now know, after many, many years of study and research, that without pollinators, including bees and butterflies, not only are we a less beautiful planet, but we are a planet that will not survive. Bringing it back to the monarch butterfly, we are literally part of the pathway from Canada all the way down to Mexico, through which the monarchs travel every year on their way to warmer climates to overwinter. Even as we speak, they're on their way back. And what we've known for some time now is that if we don't take care of the monarch population, it will not survive. What is the #1 food and habitat for the monarch? Milkweed. What was one of the native plants included on our noxious weeds ordinance? Milkweed. What is one of the most favorite things for area gardeners and, in fact, many area nature agencies to promote the planting and propagation of? Milkweed. So not only does this amendment to our ordinance make a lot of sense from a modernization standpoint and a harmonic legal standpoint, but what this does is decriminalize milkweed. So I look forward to spreading the good news, if it is the view of this council, to all the gardeners and all those who hope for the future of the pollinators, bees, monarch butterflies, for all the kids who are studying the life cycle of monarch butterflies in schools. This is a big piece of elementary school curriculum, and again, what a wonderful, wonderful bit of timing on this first full day of spring. Thank you. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Councilwoman Holland. Are there any other questions from committee members? Are there any questions from council members?
Madam Chair, Councilman Malik has his hand raised.
Okay, Councilman Malley?
Thank you very much. I know we've all, heard from folks over the last few months and over the last year, residents who have reached out to us about this. I think this is a great example of council working with administration and working with residents to find a straightforward solution. I really want to thank Councilman Fusco and Councilwoman Holland for this. So look forward to seeing the decriminalization of milkweed here in Akron.
Okay, any other questions from any council members? Mr. Little, what would be your pleasure?
I would suggest we suspend the rules. People are starting to plant, and if it's okay by the council, let's suspend the rules.
Okay, can I get a motion for suspension of the rules?
I'll make that motion to suspend the rules.
Okay, I have a motion, you have a second?
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the ayes have it. Seeing we have nothing else coming before us in public service, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next committee of the day will be the Public Utilities and Green Committee, and that will begin at 2:45. Those committee members are Freeman, McKittrick, Connor, Mosley, and Holland. Again, that's the Public Utilities and Green Committee, and it will begin at 2:45. Thank you.